Hello students. In the previous two video lectures, I talked about modernism and postmodernism. In this lecture also, I am going to talk about the same topic, modernism versus postmodernism. And as I told you, it is very difficult to know what postmodernism is until and unless we know something about modernism. And I told you in the earlier videos that modernist writers depict the desolation, decenteredness, incoherence of the modern civilization, and in this way they mourn the loss of coherence, they mourn the loss of unity, of centeredness, whereas the postmodern writers celebrate these things, the meaninglessness, the incoherence of modern civilization. Modernism and postmodernism give voice to the insecurities, to the disorientation, to the fragmentation of the 20th century Western world. The Western world in the 20th century began to experience this deep sense of insecurity because it progressively lost its colonies in the third world. After the Second World War, the Western world lost its colonies. India was freed, India got its freedom, and many other countries got their freedoms. Worn apart by the two major world wars and found its intellectual and social foundations shaking. The European world found its social foundations shaking under the impact of new social theories. Developments such as Marxism and post-colonialism, global migration, new technologies, and the power shift from Europe to the United States. These things, shook the very foundations of the European society. Though both modernism and postmodernism both employ fragmentation, both employ discontinuity, both employ decenteredness in themes and technique, the basics and dissimilarity between modernism and postmodernism is hidden in this very aspect. Both of them present the desolation, decay of the modern civilization, but that dissimilarity is hidden between this presentation. Postmodernism represents the rejection of the modernist tenets of rational, historical, and scientific thought in favor of self-consciousness, ironic and experimental works. In many of these works, the authors abandon the concept of an ordered universe. The postmodernist writers abandoned the concept of ordered universe. They abandoned the concept of linear narratives. They abandoned the concept of traditional forms to suggest the malleability of truth. They question the nature of reality itself, dispensing with the idea of a universal ordering scheme in favor of artifice, in favor of temporality, in favor of reliance on irony. So they do not seek order, they do not seek coherence. The postmodernist writers do not seek these things. Many postmodern writers believe that language is inherently unable to convey any semblance to the external world, and that verbal communication is more an act of conflict than an expression of rational meaning. That's why you see in Waiting for Godot, Vladimir and Estragon can't communicate properly with each other. Lucky and Pozo, I don't know what they speak, nobody knows. So there is no rational meaning in their conversation. Therefore, much work classified as postmodern displays little attention to realism. They pay no attention to realism. They pay no attention to characterization. They pay no attention to plot. There is no plot in any postmodern work like in Waiting for Godot. It is often conveyed as random and disjointed. Commonplace situations are depicted alongside surreal and fantastic plot developments. And the act of writing itself becomes a major focus of the subject matter. Many works feature multiple beginnings and endings. They throw to dust Aristotelian verdicts, dictums that there should be a beginning, a middle, an end. No, there is no such thing in postmodern literature. Because of some similar characteristics of modernism and postmodernism, critics sometimes become confused to differentiate one from the other. What to talk of the commonplace reader like you and me? It is very difficult sometimes to differentiate between modernism and postmodernism, but there is, the meaning is hidden, the difference is hidden. It would be more helpful if we discuss the characteristics of postmodernism in comparison and contrast to modernism. So I will further discuss the differences in the characteristics of modernism and postmodernism, so that we may be able to differentiate between modernist literature and postmodernist literature. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much.